Hello, my name is Jay Harris. I am a poet and a filmmaker. And I think that there's a lot of things. When Dr. Harding asks, who are we? I think as a young person, that's probably my biggest question. I think that there's a huge gap between the older generations and the young people, so we don't know who we are. And then in the school systems, all we're taught is from slavery, and then there's this big leap to Martin Luther King. So we don't know about the Black Wall Streets, and we don't know about what was happening before integration and things of that nature, how Black people were having sustainable societies, before integration, where they had banks and so forth. And then when it comes to the school thing, I'm having problems with that now because we become indentured servants with school, because we can take majors and they'll give us loans and they don't even make sure that the major is going to make us enough money to pay those loans back in the first place. So our whole time when we get out of school, we're just working just to pay those loans back. So we're never even seeing the fruits of our labor. So I think the education system is foul, student loans are foul, and the only way we're gonna overcome this is if the legislators and the politicians and all that, they work towards making education the way it was when they were in school. We're always being told, you need to go to college, but earlier generations could go to college and they could have part-time jobs and that would pay their college fees, and they didn't have to do what we have to do. So it's like we're being pushed into this world that's making it harder for us at the end of the day, when we could just be getting work experience the entire time instead of wasting our time on college. However, college is good, but I think, I'm saying it has necessary tools, but I think at the end of the day, when you're coming out of it, and you're in my position, it's hard for me to even get a job because that's on my credit report. You know what I'm saying? All these college loans, and so it does affect us afterwards, and it does make our lives harder, the fact that we did go to college. So that's my opinion.
So,
Thank you.
I'd just like to respond to the young lady who was talking about the whole value proposition about higher education, and I feel you, okay? I mean, I went for 4 years to college, and when I finished, I owed like $7,000, and they had to chase me down to get it, okay? So I understand what you're saying. It costs a lot of money. Now, what I would argue is that I don't think necessarily that college has ever really been about guaranteeing you a job. Okay, that really college is about opening your world and exposing you to things that you might not necessarily known growing up. I know that's what college did for me, and that's what I try to tell young people is that, that means you got to try to go to a place that you can afford. And one of the great things about what's happened over the last 50 to 60 years is that really some community colleges are damn near as good as some four-year colleges. And then, some of the sort of mid-level colleges have just gotten a lot better. And so one of the things I think is we need to go where we can afford to go. And then we need to use the college opportunity for what it's meant to do, which is to broaden our horizons, to help us realize that we can dream big things and that we can do anything. The second thing that you said that really intrigues me is sort of that gap between sort of slavery and the civil rights movement, the Reconstruction period and the early period of segregation, which I would just say to anybody that feels like there's a gap there, that there are a lot of books, there's a lot of information out there that would help fill in the gap, and I just don't think that we can rely on schools to sort of fill that gap. I think we just got to go step into the breach and go find that information because it's really out there, and then pass it on. And I think you're raising some really, really good points. I think the information is out there. I think the opportunity is out there, and that we can't let whatever's happening right now stop us from getting where we need to go.
There was a hand all the way back there.
My name is Leon Willis, and I'd like to say we nowadays seems to be special interest. If you watch C-SPAN or some of the more, informative programs about what people are like and where they're coming from, you wonder if anybody can do anything about the train wreck that's Congress right now. So, and I don't know if that's that different, and special interests make the rules about schools in terms of, whether they're, well, I forget the name of the special schools they have now where you get charter and the different schools and who gets picked. And I mean, it's an absolute mess. So when you say, who are we, Dr. Hurd? I don't know how many we's there are in this room.
Thank you.
But you never stop the conversation there. You find out how many we's there are. We've got to keep working at this task. My friend here said 2 or 3 very important things that caught my attention. One of them was where he wants to go is towards a society in which all of us could realize our best potentials. Now that's a powerful kind of thing. But coming from where we are, that's going to take a lot of work. And my friend in the center was saying, do the work. Let the passion push us. If we really want a society that will open up doors to these young women and to the young men, that will not only provide jobs for them, but again, open doors for them, help them to see a world that they never imagined. Some of us have got to work very hard. And one of the things I'd like to just encourage us on is that we has got to include all the people who the study is talking about. That we has got to be us and them.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Oren Lamena. I'm an MC, work at a nonprofit organization out in Northeast Denver.
I didn't hear your name.
Oren Lamena. I did want to speak to Dr. Harding's question as to who is the we. I think of it from maybe a more dissident sort of dissent angle, in that I really believe that we are far off course from the tenets that built this country in terms of the we. We are the epitome of inspiration without implementation. I think it's evidenced by what we saw with the Occupy movement, in that a common thread issue that could potentially affect all of our communities wasn't enough to bring people away from their jobs and their responsibilities, because at the end of the day, we are disillusioned if, I believe, we think that we're not attached to the way that you get sustenance in this nation. And I think that until we can recapture some of the fire and some of the spirit from those generations who inspired the civil rights movement, and even before that, the American Revolutionists that were willing to get out into the streets and actually make that difference. Legislatures mean a lot when it comes to passing laws, but people, to me, change the way that things are with their action. And I think that until we can recapture, relight that fire that I believe built this country, and in many ways, whether it was, the American Revolution, whether it was the civil rights movement, I think that until we can recapture that fire and actually be willing to be those who are the change. We are, Dr. Harding, in my opinion, we're really good spectators. And we love to watch the show. And I love conversation, but I'm more about action.